Jean Pascal is coming off a Friday night fight win on June 8th. TKO'd Chris Cruz in the 10th round. Dominated Jermaine Mackey, a fighter that we were impressed with on our Wednesday night fights in the Bahamas. Mackey upset Julius Fogel on that show. Round number 1 scheduled for 12. Kingsley Ikeke in the blue and white, Pascal in the burgundy.
Pascal has been matched very carefully so far in his career. This is a step up, but a step up where he has a lot of things going for him against an opponent who has fought the much better opposition, Ikeke. As you said, he fought for a world title in his last fight. That's the good news. The bad news and the good news for Pascal is Ikeke was knocked out. Always tough to come back in a tough fight after being knocked out in your last fight. There's a lot of questions in your mind. Am I all right? While you're trying to answer those questions, you might find out you're not all right when you're in there with an undefeated prospect. And also, if that's not enough problems, as you just said, 1 year and 8 months since Ikeke was last in that ring.
There's a good right hand from Pascal.
He loves to throw right hands, Pascal. He has the speed, he has the athleticism, and he has the confidence to jump in, and the cockiness to jump in with that right hand, figuring he can jump in and close that gap and catch your jaw before you can catch him coming in. Roy Jones used to have that confidence, that speed, that cockiness. Then as he got older, breaking the rules with those bad habits, some people would say with those technical flaws, then he started paying a price on the way in and on the way out. But now at 24 years of age, Pascal's not worried about that. He trusts his athleticism, his reflexes, his sense of timing.
Says he's always idolized Roy Jones, and he's fortunate to have those viper strike abilities to jump in and jump out.
The key is when he's jumping in, where you can really show that it is a flaw, that it is a mistake, it is something that you can pay a price for. The opponent, in this case Ikeke, has to be ready to pull the trigger on a punch. And when Pascal jumps in, punch with him. And while he's in the midst of jumping, you catch him.
Saw that in Teddy's fight plan on Crescent Street. Said look for the left hook from Kingsley Ikeke. Something we will check for. Jumps in again. That time the right hand went down near the hip. Came back with a left hook from Pascal. There's a good right hand sweeping over the top. Ikeke tries to fire back, doubling up that long jab.
You know, we talk about how tall. We talked about that, how tall and how long Ikeke is. We didn't talk about is how he's not physically strong and how thin that body is.
End of 1.
Action from the last round by the undefeated Pascal. Watch how he moves into position, and then watch right here. He's going to use that as a setup punch right here. And then this is the punch that he's really looking to do damage with. The left hand blinds Ikeke a little bit, and then the right hand comes home.
That was one of 12 headshots landed for the unbeaten Montreal-based fighter in round number 1. Kingsley Ikeke, 34 years old, 20-month layoff, now a round into that, trying to shake off that ring rust. He was told by Eric Brown, his trainer, don't wait on Pascal. He's not waiting here in the early goings of round 2. Much more the aggressor than he was in the final minute of that first round. Doubles up the jab. Patient Pascal. That's what Teddy talks about right there. The confidence in his athletic ability, his hands down by his waist, and just squatting and shifting side to side. Now he comes charging in, jumps in with a right hand. Connected well in the first round with it.
You know, when you're fighting a tall guy like Pascal is, your first thought is, how do I get close enough to hit him? And there's a couple ways, and you've seen all of them so far. One is to get the taller guy to give up his height, and unfortunately for Ikeke, he does that sometimes. He falls in with his punches, where when he starts throwing, he's tall, and when he finishes, he's small. The other thing is you work your way in like that. You come in behind your jab to cover your tracks, you bring your feet, and you close the gap. And another way is to throw right hands over the jab like we saw on the replay the last round, Joe. When you throw right hands over a taller man's jab, you get the taller man a little tentative about using that height.
Yeah, they start thinking about throwing that jab a little more. Huh?
Yeah, they start using it less. And then all of a sudden, their asset to be tall is not there.
You're thinking more, you're throwing less. Coming to the end of round 2 in Montreal. Pascal, right hand there.
Right hand, get the guy that's athletic to jump in and make mistakes and take advantage of those mistakes. But the most important thing is to be disciplined with the one advantage you have, Joe. Ikeke has experience and he has height. Use that height and experience by staying on the outside and making Pascal come to you and make mistakes.
Teddy, was all that experience of Ikeke in the early goings here at least balanced and neutralized by the 20-month layoff?
It was taken away a little bit. That rush will help you, will hurt you, I should say. 1 year and 8 months, and not only the layoff, but the layoff compounded with that knockout loss. It means that there's a double dose of being unsure of yourself, a double dose of doubting yourself. You're coming off a knockout loss where you're not sure if you're okay physically, and it's been so long since you've been in the ring, you're not comfortable.
He was ranked among all the organizations at one point in his career, was Ikeke. Inactivity, of course, cost him that lofty status. He was one of those guys for a long time that was thought of as, you don't want to go in with him. That's not the matchup you're looking for because of the height and because of his abilities. And now he's trying to get himself back into better position. And he took this fight against Pascal on short notice. Pascal, of course, the young upstart who has visions of big things to come at 168 pounds. This is Ikeke's first fight at 168 pounds after being a contending middleweight.
Well, that's another thing, you know, that's working against Ikeke, stepping up in weight. We talk about him being the taller guy. Sometimes you mislead the audience. The audience might think, well, that means he's bigger. No, smaller man. He's been a junior middleweight and a middleweight his whole career, while Pascal's been a super middleweight his entire career. Actually, even fought at light heavyweight a couple of times. So you got a guy who might be too big, too fast, and too young in Pascal. But the one question that you're hoping's on your side if you're Ikeke, will he make too many mistakes? And right now, the answer is no. See, that's the one thing I think Ikeke has to work on. Trying to make Pascal, being younger, being faster, being a guy who's cocky, make mistakes. And if you don't stand on the outside, you're not going to make him make mistakes. That's what Ikeke needs to do.
As he comes in, he landed the left hand. Pascal jumping in this time. And Ikeke just backing up with his guard up. Pascal fires away. A series of lefts and rights to the body. Interesting main event here in Montreal. End of 3. Heavyweight main event next week on Friday Night Fights. Mean Joe Green, a very fine-looking prospect on Wednesday Night Fights. And Vernon Forrest Artist will be our studio guest next week on Friday Night Fights. We've been enjoying Jason Litzow in studio tonight. Round number 4, Kingsley Ikeke, Jean Pascal in that third round. Pascal 17 of 44 in terms of headshots.
You know, believe it or not, as tall as Ikeke is, he's been involved in a couple of head classes. When guys get in close, sometimes you lean forward, and that head can bang a little bit. But Ikeke has, I guess you would call it an ability, a talent, at least he feels he does, to cut guys with his punches. Now, sometimes guys do that. It's not an accident when they're able to cut guys regularly with their punches. Sometimes it's the glove they're wearing, a tighter, more punches glove, but sometimes it's because they get a certain snap, a certain torque. And those guys that get that torque in their punches are usually tall. They punch down a little bit, and they get that kind of snap where it's more likely to open up the skin on an opponent. Ikeke might need that ability to slow down Pascal.
Pascal free swinging for the last 20 seconds. Did some head hunting, then went to the body. Ikeke caught him with a right hand as he came forward in that last surge. But Pascal with an offensive assault halfway through this 4th round. Again, Ikeke now trying to be a little more aggressive.
But see, when he was aggressive there, Joe, the good news is Ikeke's throwing. He's got plenty of heart. The bad news is he falls in and gives up his height to do it. I don't think he'll win that way. When you have an advantage in anything, you must use it, especially when there's a lot of areas where your opponent has other advantages. The one place Ikeke has advantage, experience and height. He's not going to use that if he gets in close.
Ikeke now putting that left hand out there. Pascal tries to close the gap. Lets him walk right into the corner that time. Goes to the body, does Pascal.
You want an aggressive attitude from Ikeke with a very smart approach. Be aggressive. Throw the punches out there with snap, with proper attention and proper intention. But understand that you must keep that distance where you have an advantage, where you can catch Pascal before he can catch you. And when Pascal tries to make up for where he gets caught, then you have distance where he has to jump in and hopefully leave himself open to counters.
Jean Pascal readying himself for round number 5. Haitian-born, Montreal-based, former Olympian, 16-0. This, the biggest step up of his career. Taking on Kingsley Ikeke, former middleweight title challenger. 20 months off since his defeat at the hands of Arthur Abraham. He's behind on Teddy's scorecard. Let's bring in Jason Litzow, our guest studio analyst tonight. Jay, play trainer, play corner man for Jean Pascal. What would you be telling him at this point?
Keep doing what he's doing. He's throwing nice, hard, crisp shots. And eventually he might knock him out, but just don't get caught. He's got this fight all under control. Don't be dumb like me, and he's going to win this fight. Eventually, you can probably knock him out.
Teddy, we know Jay's gone down that road before that he refers to self-deprecating humor.
Oh, he's got all the heart in the world, and he's an honest fighter, and he's an honest kid as he talks right there. And what I think he's alluding to right now is he has the same advantages, and that's being you, Jason, as Ikeke physically. You're tall, you're usually taller than your opponents, you're usually longer than your opponents, and here's Ikeke not using those advantages. So in some ways, this could be a very important fight for you to watch.
Thanks, Teddy.
Yeah, Jay could relate to this a bit because of those advantages. Jason, I know you were very proud when Wednesday Night Fights came back to the Twin Cities when we saw you in April and you defeated Valtierra, and you were so happy to give something back to your fans and celebrate there. Very community-minded back at home. And I just want to give you the chance to say a little something and reach out to the horrible tragedy that happened back in your hometown this week. I know your heart is with those back in your hometown.
All I can say is God bless the families that lost a loved one, and I'm going to dedicate this next fight to to all the people that have lost a loved one in that bridge, because I used to drive over it almost every day.
Look forward to seeing you when you dedicate that fight in 2 weeks. Jason Letzow, our guest studio analyst tonight.
You know, you just can't help but think that Jason's watching this fight, and he's watching Ikeke, and this could really be a learning fight for Jason. He's watching Ikeke, who's tall like him and long like him, like I just said. And he's saying, gee, you know what? Ikeke's not taking advantage of those assets, and if he did, he would put this fight in a much better position, be in his favor. And he's got to think, hey, that's something that sometimes I forget to do, and use that height and use that size.
Ikeke shot, it seems like.
Again, you can see Ikeke, Joe, give up his height as he comes forward.
Does so there. Pascal on the inside. Here in Montreal for Friday night fights. Little rally at the end of that 5th round. Jean Pascal landed 21 of 49 punches. He's the undefeated prospect in the burgundy trunks, taking on the former world title challenger Kingsley Ikeke in the blue. Round number 6 scheduled for 12. A very important fight for both men. This is the proving ground for Pascal, taking a step up. And for Ikeke, this is the chance coming off the 20-month layoff to instantly get back into position where he's talked about. Tries with the left uppercut, turns it into a left hook, does Pascal. Now charges in behind a jab and a sweeping right hand from Pascal.
And again, if you're the shorter man like Pascal, you want to get close. And the way you want to get close is to work your way in. And one of your fears is, will you be allowed to work your way in? Well, those fears have been abated for the most part for Pascal, because there's been nothing at that door keeping Pascal from coming in. Not enough long jabs from Ikeke. And if you're the shorter man, there's nothing keeping you out. Well, you're going to do that. You're going to walk in.
Michael Griffin, referee, rolling out the warning to Pascal. Let's look at the punch track numbers, the headshots. And you can see Pascal more efficient, landing 40% of his 190 thrown. A lot of those headshot numbers for Ikeke, that double jab that he tosses out there.
Ikeke not helping himself in 2 ways now. One, not using that jab to control that range, and keeping that jab very low around the hip now. That means look out for Pascal to jump in with right hands now. Just a moment it's going to take, I would think, for him to recognize that left hand's down. I can jump in with my quick right hand before that left hand can get up.
Left hook came around the guard of that right hand. Tries to go back to it. Just missed with the right hand. And that left hand strayed a little bit south of the belt line.
In a minute.
There have been some unintentional low blows tonight from Pascal, but this is the first one that affected Ikeke. We'll take a look at it now. Now, there's a reason for it. You could see Pascal reaching in, his upper body getting ahead of him, getting out of sorts a little bit, and as his upper body got ahead of him, he leaned forward, and the punch went away.
They're going to deal with the tape on the glove of Pascal while they have this moment with a break in the action here in round number 6.
Back to neutral corner, please. Back to neutral corner. Wait there, wait there.
Ikeke's ready to charge out as Pascal just casually struts back to the neutral corner and back to action here in round 6.
You know, that replay could be a blueprint for Ikeke to get back into this fight, Joe, believe it or not. A little bit of a problem with fundamentals there with Pascal as he came in and threw that low blow. He was leaning forward with his upper body where he could be vulnerable to uppercuts.
Pascal on the attack. Boy, good right hand came into the body there. End of 6. Big weekend here in Montreal. The inaugural inaugural Napa 200 Busch Series, and Bobby Hamilton Jr. will be in that car, number 35, trying to go after it and get his piece of the over $2 million purse. So how do you spend a weekend when you're gearing up for a little NASCAR? Hey, you come out to Friday Night Fights. Bobby Hamilton Jr., so nice to have you with us.
Glad to be here.
Your first time live at the fights. You're a fan, you watch on TV, but your reaction being here for the first time?
Unbelievable. I've watched it on TV all the time, and you've got to be here. I mean, just the way the sweat, the sounds of the hits. I mean, just good Lord, these guys are machines. I mean, I'm just amazed, just amazed.
Bobby, you know what I want to ask you? I think that our audience would want this answer, and maybe not aware of this, but they look at a race car driver, they probably don't think about athleticism, they don't think about a physical part,
right.
Let's be honest. I would think that your arms, your hands, your forearms have to be awful strong to control that steering wheel at the speeds that you guys are going, because as far as I know, you don't have power steering.
No, yeah.
So well, you guys got to be pretty strong, am I right?
Yeah, well, that's right, but I mean, just watching this is unbelievable what these guys are doing. I mean...
But do you guys, I mean, is there a physical component to what you guys do? Because a lot of people say, hey, race car driver, you know, you get in there, you have to have nerve, you know, you have to be able to judge the turns, but there's no physicality. I would think there is a physicality.
Yeah, well, you really have to work your neck, your chest, like in your arms and stuff, because you do get tired. You will fall out of the seat and wreck or possibly take somebody else out. So you got to be on your game.
Round number 7 here. Jean Pascal, 28 of 55 total punches in that last round against Kingsley Ikeke. Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas ringside with NASCAR's Bobby Hamilton Jr. Tomorrow, the Busch Series. Napa 200 is here in Montreal. A lot of fans have come out. Great energy in the city. It's on ESPN at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. You know, there's so many words that come up in our sport that also come up in your sport. Risk, fear, focus. We talk about it all the time, but I know it plays a big role in your life.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like these guys. This could be the last round, like that could be the last lap.
Exactly.
So you have to be mentally prepared when you get in that ring or on that racetrack that it cannot happen to you. You're here to do one thing, that's win. And you can just see by the way these guys just had it that they're focused on winning.
Big shot there.
Unbelievable.
Goes to the body, puts 2 down there, does Jean Pascal, and a right hand upstairs. Pascal now on the attack. Looking at that belt line, switched it up. The right hand scores again.
See, there's a problem being tall when your shorter man gets close to you. Now being tall is no longer an asset. Now it becomes a detriment because there's a lot of targets standing there for Pascal. On the outside, it's a problem possibly for Pascal. But once he gets into that punching pocket, that's good for him. Then all of a sudden he finds Ikeke standing, and there's just so much target with that 6'4" frame.
Bobby Hamilton from NASCAR's Busch Series with us. In your business, you get those little love taps, those little drafting bumps right there. That was a little more than a love tap right there.
That was boy, I'd hate to be in his shoes. I mean, that was more. The fans at home cannot see this from TV. They have to come and witness this. I mean, like I said, this is the first time I'm here live, and it's just unbelievable the impact these guys are taking on their body. It's just amazing.
Bobby, best of luck tomorrow. Car number 35, 3:30 on ESPN, Napa 200 NASCAR Busch Series from Montreal. Bobby Hamilton Jr., thanks for being with us. Wow. Big round here for Jean Pascal. Coming to the end of round number 7. Scheduled for 12.
Long road trips, hard-working sports.
Action from the last round. Well, when the shorter man gets in close quarters, as I was talking about, there's a lot of tall target, and that tall target was found with the right hand of Pascal.
Jean Pascal, who didn't hesitate, said, I'm the best prospect in the world in any weight class. He's out to prove that true. Round number 8 against Kingsley Ikeke. We have been seeing some outstanding prospects on our series in the course of this year. And in recent years, many of them have been coming from here in Montreal. Last 3 rounds, Pascal with a 25-15 edge. Ikeke tries to come out with a little more to him here in round number 8. Teddy's scorecard. Pascal has taken every round so far, according to Teddy.
You know, you just saw him come out a little here, Ikeke, and to me it means nothing. Even though, you know, he shows heart, because it's going to allow this to happen. Because when he came out with the punches, that was the problem. He came out. He came forward into the area that he shouldn't be. He needs to be punching on the outside, where he can maximize the one advantage that he has, and that's height. If he's going to be aggressive physically by coming forward with his punches, he's going to continue to go right into what Pascal wants. Close quarters, where Pascal's quicker hands and shorter arms can find them. Right now, I think Ikeke needs to be mentally aggressive, but physically in control. Physically lay back, keep himself back and punch aggressively in his mind, but physically stay there, right there where he's punching now.
Left hook from Pascal.
Again, it's all because Ikeke was in too close, and then he pulled back, and he paid a price for pulling back. Now he's paying a price for being tall.
Ikeke was hurt by that last left hand, and now a strafing attack from Pascal.
Pascal would help himself now to go downstairs to the body, because right now Ikeke is in survival mode, and that means instinctively that head is going to be moving, slipping, sliding, but the body's going to be staying still.
And against that big praying mantis type frame, there's a lot of body to go after.
Not only a lot of body, but a thin body.
Pascal comes off the accelerator for a moment here after having Ikeke stunned with about a minute to go.
See, that's why I thought early on, like this, right now, this is not good for Ikeke. I know that sounds funny because he's showing hard, he's throwing, but he's throwing from in close. And that means Pascal is going to find him, and he found him with that left hook.
He just did it again. Big round for the unbeaten Jean Pascal.
Ikeke allowed the wolf into his den, and the wolf knew what to do. The wolf, Pascal, is throwing a lot of headshots there. Some are landing, a lot are missing. I think the wolf would have been well served to bite to the body.
Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you. Round number 9 here in Montreal. Jean Pascal, 17-0 in the Burgundy Trunks in front of the home fans, looking to take a major step forward. This is the biggest test of his young career.
You know, I've talked before when we've had Pascal fights where his talent is very good, but his technique needed to catch up. I think his technique is catching up a little bit from what I see tonight. Less jumping in, a little bit more patience, a little bit more adherence to some fundamentals, and that's a good sign for the prospect Pascal. You know, the talent, if I was to make an analogy, we're being here with the races going on and all these cars around here in Montreal, I would say that the talent is the engine, but the technique is actually the vehicle that will allow that engine to go up the track. And the technique is something that has to be improved on and has been improved on, as I say, I think, by Pascal. You can have all the talent in the world or the best engine in the world, but you need something to take it where you want it to go.
You can't duck that low. You got to keep your head up. Don't push him on the head, okay? Step back. Box.
Pascal patiently awaits, puts 2 punches to the body. Ikeke sends out the jab. Ikeke tries to put a right hand in, but was met with a counter left, and it gives Pascal the opportunity to fire off 4 more.
And again, that opportunity for Pascal came because Ikeke did try to put a right hand in. But a right hand while his feet fell forward, and he gave up his height. Just watch the feet right now of Ikeke, and you see what I'm talking about. when he doesn't keep his height. Great shot from our truck right there to see the footwork. When Ikeke throws, his feet should not move. He should pivot on his toes and shift his weight, but that shouldn't happen. See how his feet fell in? And what happened? He fell right into a punch.
Pascal tries to jump on him here at the end of the ninth. Right hand comes in again. Ikeke, 5 seconds to try to survive the assault from Pascal. Pascal walks it off the side door. Presented by the new Just for Men hair color. Knocks out the gray better than ever. And in part by Olivia. The tower at Olympic Stadium right next door to where we are here at Charbonneau Center. Coming up next, Barry Bonds sitting on 754. Bonds, 43 years old, going against the 4-time Cy Young Award winner Greg Maddux. Giants at Padres still to come tonight. We have 3 more rounds left in our main event. A showcase night for the undefeated Jean Pascal in the burgundy trunks. Right hand just missed. Ikeke then stumbles off to the side. A warning from Griffin about pushing him. Teddy Atlas's scorecard, 90-81. It's been that kind of a night for Montreal's Jean Pascal.
Right now there's reach. There's a little bit of distance right now between the two fighters.
Watch your head, man.
Watch these feet right here. It's very important that those feet of Ikeke, when he punches, they do not move forward. See, they move forward there. And he almost got touched with a left hook. I would tell Ikeke in a corner, make believe you're fighting in sand, and your feet are actually falling down into the canvas, and they cannot move. Get that picture in your mind and chuck your punches from that way.
He's learned the lesson the hard way, as Pascal has clipped him good a few times as he has fallen in. Pascal now choosing not to fire off, just in that comfort zone and complete control of the action here in round 10. But not exactly what you want to see of a prospect on the way up wanting to prove himself, Teddy.
But there is need, Joe, in all fairness, to be able to
be in control.
Yeah, be able to get a pace, be able to slow a pace down if you need to. You got to know that you have that available to you. As you get into tough waters later on in your career, those tough waters are in front of you. You got to know that, hey, if I need to slow down a fight, I can do it. So these are all things that can be put into his mind, and he can practice for later on. He will need them someday.
Not much slowing down that left hook moments ago. Jean Pascal and Ikeke at the end of 10.
Watch this replay here, and you might find out why Pascal has not scored a knockout. You see that left hook right there?
Yes.
That was a slap. That was a cuff. He did not turn that punch over. The speed was there. The opening was there, but the technique was not there. He needs to turn it over so it hits square. Then he can be a more effective puncher.
Very confident, that's for sure. He says, I'm smart, I'm fast, I have great hands, I can punch, and I'm the best prospect in the world. But still room for improvement here. Although obviously a good step up against Ikeke. And the way these scorecards are going, enough said in terms of where Jean Pascal stands right now in his career. There's another super middleweight from Montreal who's way ahead of Jean Pascal. We saw him earlier in our Friday night fight season, and that is Lucien Boutte. Pascal and Boutte's careers may cross paths at some point. Pascal says the guy he wants next is Alan Green.
Break, no punches, step back, let him go. Let him no punch, no punch. Thank you.
Good look at Jean Pascal, the 24-year-old. 17-0. Ikeke tries to let loose that right hand on the inside.
Looked like he hurt his right hand there, Pascal. Shaking it a little bit.
See if he throws it here in the final minute of this 11th round.
Little too low there, okay?
Michael Griffin complaining about Pascal and how low he dips down. But for so many years, we saw referees say the same thing to Emmanuel Augustus. When you have a lot of confidence in your athleticism, that's the result you get sometimes getting into that crouching defensive posture. You can get that low to the ground.
You see that right hand of Pascal? He's shaking it, he's dropping it down.
He hasn't thrown it, Teddy.
It's bothering him.
He just shook it right there.
Yeah. He's thrown it now. He's acting like a pro now and letting it go. But his corner's going to have to tell him the next time you hurt it, don't show your opponent. Good thing not to let the guy that's trying to get to you know that something's wrong. That would be a good piece of advice.
No doubt about it. Don't give that away. But he has thrown it a few times here in the final 15 seconds after shaking it noticeably. Want to remind you, coming up after Friday Night Fights, Giants at Padres, Barry Bonds. Will he make history tonight? That is coming up next. Dave O'Brien, Dusty Baker will have the call from San Diego. 12th and final round. Big night for that man. Unbeaten Jean Pascal.
Good luck, fellas. Box.
Kingsley Ikeke well behind on Teddy's scorecard. It would be hard to see it any other way among the three ringside judges here in Pascal's hometown of Montreal.
See, again, Ikeke, aggressive physically where he should be aggressive mentally, and physically keep those feet back.
Does that change, Teddy, here in round 12 with such a sense of urgency and what we think is desperation on the scorecards?
No, not really, but you can make an excuse and an argument that it doesn't matter now. You just have to go let all hell go and just go out there and throw everything but the kitchen sink at him any way you can. And let's be honest, try to really get lucky now, get fortunate now. But still, you have your best chance by doing it on the outside, because if you do it on the outside, you help yourself in a couple of dimensions. One, when you throw, you get full extension on your punches, full power, and you need full power right now. And you're in position to land, and Pascal is not. Also, by keeping that position on the outside and not falling in with your feet, you force Pascal, if he's going to come back, he's got to close the gap. And that means he might have to leave himself open. You get another chance to land another punch.
Through the left hook there as Ikeke came in with the right hand. Now he lets loose with that right hand, a right hand that we feel he hurt in the last round. Barry Bonds sitting on the doorstep of history coming up in mere moments. Giants at Padres. Bonds against Greg Maddux still to come your way.
Heads, guys.
You know what Pascal does have to learn is when he goes defensive, which you see in some spots, and you brought the point up a few rounds ago, that he went defensive for a while. Now it looks like Pascal's left hand is bothering him a little bit as he shakes that hand, to be honest with you. But when you go defensive, and maybe Pascal has to go defensive now, maybe with two bad mitts, but you got to learn how to go defensive, and at the same time without giving up offensive position. Where you go defensive, and you could also fire back. Keep your opponent from getting aggressive.
Final moments here. There were a lot of people who thought he wouldn't make it look this easy, but Jean Pascal did. We will come back and hear from the judges in Montreal. Thanks, Robert. Jean Pascal landing 43% of his total punches on the Just for Men Punch Track fight recap. Teddy's scorecard across the board. It went. Ikeke grabbed a little at the end. 118-110 Pascal. Now, here's
the
Chris
winner
Gauthier.
By unanimous decision, and still NABF Super Middleweight Champion, Jean Pascal.
Well, he says he's the best prospect in the world. He may have just graduated. Took a next step up with the decision win.